Hi and welcome. As many of you know, I'm in the process of rebuilding the top end of my Moto Guzzi Le Mans, and I've come down to removing the base gaskets here on the two barrels. Now I've decided to give this CRC product a try. It's the CRC Gasket Stripper, and it's designed to remove baked-on gaskets, dissolve gasket cements, and so forth. Now I tried it out off camera on the left-hand barrel, which is this one here, and I had mixed results with it. I followed the instructions, which say apply it about 5 to 10 minutes before you start scraping to allow it to soak in and start to release any gasket cements that may have been used in assembly of the part. So I did that, but I found it a fairly hard slog to get that gasket off. It took me about 15 to 20 minutes to remove the gasket on this side following those instructions. And I did actually apply some more product midway through after I'd got down through the top layer of the gasket. These gaskets are actually reinforced with like a flyer wire mesh in about halfway sandwiched between two fibrous layers. So overall they're a fairly tough gasket for a product like this to penetrate, and of course 25 years on the bike has really formed a really tight bond around the base of the cylinder with the gasket. So this time around I thought I'd try something different. I applied some of this product last night. Again, I applied it again this morning, and I'll apply some now, give it another 10 minutes. And hopefully that will allow it to have seeped through and done its work. And maybe the secret to this product is giving it a little bit more time to work. You know, it's a fairly safe product to apply. It contains dichloromethane, and I looked that up. It's not particularly toxic, but you really shouldn't use it in a confined space. There are some health issues with this particular chemical. But in a well-ventilated space, you shouldn't have any issues. The other thing to note is that it's a fairly odorless product, so you really don't know what concentration could be in the air if you're doing this in a shed or a confined space. I've got the garage doors open, so that makes it reasonably safe for me. There's a bit of air movement through the garage. So I'll apply the product again to this, give it another 10 minutes, and then we'll have a go at scraping that off and seeing if giving it a little bit more time will help. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is that you do need to shake this can well before you use it. Okay, we'll just let that sit for another 10 minutes and then we'll have a go at removing that gasket. Okay, I've given it another 10 minutes with a final spray of the gasket stripper, and I thought I'd start off around these areas here where there's some of the gasket actually goes over the openings for the push rods, so I can actually sort of lever it up a little bit. So I thought I'd just see if I could just release it in this area. Oh, that's working quite nicely. So let's just... Oh, it's... So that's come off well. We'll work our way around. Proving to be a bit of a problem there. Let's work around the other side. I see we're only getting half the gasket off. This is the lower part of the gasket, and that's the wire there, the reinforcing wire. So it's not coming off quite as cleanly as it looks. this section. So I've got pretty much half the gasket off, and there's still a section here. Some of it's come off completely there, but here we've still got the lower section, but the section with the wire reinforcing is now off. So there's an O-ring, there's a few O-rings at the base of this. I'll just give this another spray, and then we'll again leave it for a period of time and attempt to get the rest of it off. Well, that looks pretty good. Now I'm just using a small paint scraper here, and seems to be working reasonably well. And that's it, gasket removed. Just needs a little bit of a wipe down and maybe a bit of a minor scrape to get some of those tiny little particles off, but that's a pretty good job. I can say that this CRC Gasket Stripper actually does work. It just takes a little bit longer to apply than what they recommend on the can. For really stubborn gaskets, particularly these fibrous style reinforced gaskets, you really do need to allow more than just 10-15 minutes for it to soak in. And certainly applying some last night and early this morning, and 15 minutes before I started scraping, worked a treat compared to the 10-minute application on the other barrel. I mean, that gasket came off really easily, whereas the other one was really a hard slog, took 15-20 minutes of hard work. And of course, you know, scraping gasket surfaces, if the gasket is difficult to get off, you do run the risk of marking the surface. With a nice scraper like this, it's a lot easier to scrape without risking damage, but you know, particularly where you come to edges or corners, if the gasket is stubborn, it's really easy to slip and put a mark in the surface, which reduces the sealing area for the gasket. But in saying that, yeah, good product. I'd certainly recommend it to anyone. Anyway, that's all for today's video. I'll see you next time.